Hello everyone. So before the video starts, short disclaimer. Um, while editing the video, I realized that my commentary during the entire thing is. I was basically in a good mood, so I was speaking English completely natural. And when I speak English very natural, there's a lot of strong language, okay? So by strong language, I just mean the typical swearing. Just, just fuck you all around, okay? Um, it can sound very condescending and very arrogant. So just keep that in mind that that is not my intention, okay? I was just recording the entire thing for fun because I like talking about my favorite tank obviously, and I just wanted to finally make like a video where I compare the old ELC to the current one, just giving my own opinion, my own view on things. And yeah, I was just in a good mood. I was talking the language of the gods, the typical youth language, slang and everything included. And I just know that a lot of people don't like that, okay? So just keep that in mind. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you enjoy. But yeah, today I want to talk about the AMX ELC Biz, what a huge surprise. That's like the only tank I ever play and talk about. But yeah, I'm active in the forums. I'm active on YouTube and everything, so I'm checking out all the content that there is on this tank. And you would think to yourself, well, didn't the ELC like it used to get like nerfed and everything, right? So who even fucking cares anymore? The tank is garbage now anyway. Are there people even talking about this tank still? I mean, you would be surprised. There are still people that actively care about this tank, and all the people that do talk about it usually reminisce about the old DLC and how it used to be so much better, and how their wargaming implemented 10 light tanks and nerfed this tank. Funnily enough, I'm also of the same opinion, right? So I miss the old ELC. I loved it. It was my everything. I played this tank religiously, and when they implemented tier 10 light tanks in 2017 and nerfed every other lighting according to the new matchmaking changes and everything, and when they shit on the ELC, I was very frustrated. I was actually so frustrated that I stopped playing from that very same patch to the beginning of 2021. So I had a break of multiple years just because they fucking nerfed my favorite tank. So just keep in mind that for the video, I'm completely unbiased. I'm completely objective. So first of all, what are we even gonna talk about? So I'm going to give my honest opinion, my honest thoughts on the current state of the ELC, right? Because I see too many people comparing the new ELC to the old ELC, and without having any idea, no clue, without even having looked into the current state of the ELC, they just write it off like instantly. Like, nah, this tank is garbage. It sucks. It's unplayable, etc., etc. Old ELC better. You get the idea. And I'm just thinking to myself, good lord, honestly, they're like, it's actually surprising. It's actually surprising how many people have that exact thought process and that exact opinion. So yeah, as someone who plays this tank religiously still to this day, I will go over everything, like actually everything, and I know everything about the DLC. But we will go over everything together and actually compare the shit, like the two versions, and really like put a nail into the coffin for the current state of the DLC. So let's just take a look. I'm going to actually go to TanksGG now. So let's just take a look at TanksGG. Like, TanksGG is just going to show you the base stats, okay? Just the base stats. The base stats alone. How significant were the nerfs of the ELC actually? Just how bad were they truly? I mean, surely end of the world level bad. Otherwise, people wouldn't fucking cry about it. So, DPM, nobody cares. DPM is terrible on ELC now, and it always used to be. I mean, sucks to lose 150 DPM, but honestly, it's not significant at all, in my opinion. Not for a high caliber gun like that, not for a 240 Alpha gun like that. The pen actually pretty significant. Not at close ranges. I don't think at close ranges anyone cares because the gun can only get so derpy. I mean, it's actually surprising how many shots the gun misses even at close ranges, but the missing part has nothing to do with the with the penetration part. But yeah, longer ranges is very significant actually, because at longer ranges becomes impossible to aim for weak spots. 170 pen, that's just a standard pen. Honestly, I don't care about the standard pen because I'm only shooting gold. 248mm gold pen though. Like even back in the day when you were capable of facing tier 8 opponents. Actually insane. 248mm pen. You had no problem dealing with any tier 8 opponents. And that was the max that you could face. No heavy tank, nothing. Would really live up to that amount of penetration on the gold. Nowadays you have like something like the fucking VK 101P, which is really heavily armored. You have very trollish tanks like the Defender. I guess 703 too, like a lot of power creep even in the armor department. So 248 pen, still very legit though. Especially since how often are you actually like facing opponents with good front armor, like actually front on? How many times are you going to stand in front of a T29 on, I don't know, is the OI heavily armored? Probably not, right? But yeah, not very often. Like those situations almost never happen. Next up, gun handling actually used to be worse. Oddly enough, they actually buffed the dispersion on the ELC, which is such a weird thing to do. But honestly, I appreciate it because again, aiming time, gun handling, everything is still not very great on this tank. But this is the kicker. And this is where doomsday theorists come into play. People physically died because of this nerf. Like forward speed, okay, you know. Terrain resistance is okay, sucks I guess. But this is the significant part. 37 horsepower per ton is unreal on a light tank. And just by watching videos of the old ELC, you can feel the difference, even though you're not even playing the tank yourself. 37, the ELC used to jump out of the gates. It was fucking insane how nimble this number right here is. And they just dropped that by 10. And it kinda did hurt, honestly. Like especially in the not in the competitive department, but in the fun department. Ouchie. Actually, ouchie. That kinda sucked. And yeah, the traverse, like resistance on traverse, pretty bad. Pretty bad nerf, honestly. New ELC has more health. We will get into that one later. But this is pretty significant, by the way. And yeah, other than that, nothing really changed. So, my verdict: old ELC versus new ELC. Let's just keep in mind that the old ELC. Okay, let me explain it this way. The old ELC used to be much more difficult to play because the matchmaking was super unforgiving. 400 hit points, by the way, you would get one shot by Panzer IV-H derp guns, M4 Shermans, anything with a derp gun. KB2 could sneeze at you and you would die. You would get one shot by an SU-100 122mm coin flip. You would get one shot by a KV-1S coin flip, by any Russian 122mm coin flip, and with coin flip I mean it was a 50-50 chance. And that's just the hit itself. You could get set on fire, etc., just like nowadays. Keep in mind the old ELC did not have reusable rep kit and 8 kits. So one track and you were gone. Now 2 tracks and you were gone. Or 1 track and an engine and you were gone. Very unforgiving environment, okay? this health buff, right? So first they nerfed it to 320. And 320 is so bad, in fact, that you can get one shot by a fucking dicker max coin flip. In fact, I left the game from 2017 after the nerfs to 2021 because of the 320 hit points. I got one shot by a dicker max and I just left. I uninstalled the game right afterwards. They buffed it to 490, and that's huge. That's huge because you're not gonna face a Rhine Metal boss again anymore, like in the old days. So that's not possible. That can't one shot you anymore. The only thing that can still one shot you with a coin flip is the Story Meal. And who fucking plays that? The only other things that you could that could one shot you is an SU-152 with the derp and maybe the KV-2 with the derp, right? Lefties can't one shot you anymore. Lefties used to one shot you all the time. What I'm saying is that second chances like that in a tank like the ELC are massive because this tank is fucking cracked in the late game. Genuinely fucking balls to the wall, broken in late game nowadays in the current meta. Actually, it always used to be. It always used to be a late game vehicle. If you would just survive to the late game, you could do so much with this fucking tank. And you still can. Again, second chance is massive. One of the worst opponents for the ELC, Leo. Leo clip potential 360. So first he would have to hit all of the shots, and even then he wouldn't one shot you. Or he wouldn't one clip you. Just some examples. I think I've seen people argue that, but wait, every tier 1 to 6 tank got their health buff, right? But again, on a tank like the ELC that performs extremely well in the late game just by having a camo and view range advantage, it means so much more. It's actually insane. Honestly, completely overlooked buff. So next up, what are even the most important mechanics on a tank to have? Or what are the most important mechanics to have an advantage in? It's obviously camo rating and fucking view range. Having a view range advantage over your opponent is the most vital thing, especially for a light tank. Let's go over this. The camo didn't get touched at all, and that's important. That's what matters, okay? You still have the same camo as you used to have, which is, by the way, on the ELC still completely cracked. And the view range also didn't get touched. Again, super important. This is what matters. This is what gives you an advantage over your opponents in the AMX ELC BIS or in the ELC AMX. Shit like this is why the ELC excels so much. And in mobility, I mean, this is what everyone complained about, right? Great mobility or amazing mobility is equally amazing to have. But it's not a necessity in this case because it's still good enough. And that's the point. It's still good enough. It's not terrible. Some people make it sound like the end of the world when the ELC got the mobility buff. When the ELC got the mobility nerfed. Like, oh my fucking god. I'm physically dying because of this. And I was one of those people, by the way. When I saw the mobility nerf, especially like right after playing, like right after the nerf, playing the tank, I also physically died, okay? But now I'm realizing that the mobility is still good. It's still a light tank. It's still clearly a light tank. It still gets around the fucking map. It can still change flanks extremely well, and it can still get distance extremely well, which is the important part right here for the ELC, because you want to play your opponents at range in the late game. Still fucking good enough. And by the way, that's another thing. Some people got so affected by this mobility nerf that they started trying to restore it with the new equipment and everything. Putting a turbo on the ELC, putting octane in the ELC. Please don't put octane on your fucking ELC. Okay? But yeah, the most important aspects of the ELC did not get touched, and that's why it is still a perfectly fine vehicle even after the nerfs. Fucking deep fucking penetration, feels Batman, still good enough. Fucking mobility, feels really Batman, still good enough though. right? So that's my point. And yeah, that brings us right to the next point, because that's now we're going to speak about all of the shit that got added to the game after the nerfs. Okay, again, nerf 7 in 2017 with the introduction of tier 10 light tanks, and then a bunch of things have changed. The health thingy being one thing, okay, really cool, really cool actually. Another thing being, now I'm gonna switch to the game client. This shit right here. So if you're willing to put the resources into the ELC, you can make it from a good tank with normal equipment to a completely busted, maybe overpowered, but honestly overpowered to me is something like the Panzer 5-4, so maybe not overpowered, but you can change it into a completely busted vehicle with the equipment 2.0. And now you might be thinking to yourself, okay, but you could put the equipment 2.0 on any tank in the game, so wouldn't any tank in the game be overpowered? I don't fucking know. I only play the AMX ELC BIS, and I can honestly only talk for the AMX ELC BIS. What I definitely know is that not everyone is going to put equipment 2.0 on a fucking tier 5 vehicle, or on any mid-tier vehicle, as a matter of fact. So just that fact alone makes this tank massively broken. Like back in the days, you had only regular equipment, and you would put only regular equipment on every single tank. You still put only regular equipment on every single tank, except those tanks that you have that you really like, where you're like, okay, I'm going to put more resources into the vehicle. So for me personally, this tank is DLC BIS, so because I love it so much, I will put new equipment on it, and fully decked out, like comparing both tanks fully decked out with the meta those tanks existed in. It is insane, okay? It is insane how stupid it is that you can put improved equipment on a fucking low tier tank like that. But yeah. So one thing that always used to be important was making sure that your tank had more than 445 meter view range. Back in the days, the way you used to do it was by looking at your crew. So if your crew had everything, if it had brothers in arms, if it had situational awareness and recon, you could get up to 456 meter view range with optics, vents, and food. So you could do that with regular optics, regular vents, and food. If you could not get up to 445 meter view range with just optics, you had to opt for a binocular. So you would get the maximum view range, but only when staying stationary. That's how people used to do it in the old days. And nowadays with equipment 2.0, like fully decked out, as you can see, I can get my ELC up to 478 meters view range at all times, which is it's completely broken. Furthermore, just the camo crew alone, the vents, the food, and the brothers in arms can also increase my camo rating to 46.3, which is fucking nutty considering the fact that you can keep that camo rating at all times. Because it's a light tank, or not a tank destroyer. Absolutely insane, actually. Couple that with the way more forgiving meta, like with the matchmaking and everything, with the ELC just being much easier to play nowadays than it used to be. How can anyone claim that this tank is not broken? And again, you don't fucking need to improve the equipment at all. It's good to have. Again, it's just like the old mobility. It's a good thing to have, but it's not necessary. It is at bare minimum a good vehicle, and at most fucking broken. Like actually broken out of the gates, like balls to the wall, completely stacked. This vehicle, just by how crazy of an advantage you can get over your opponents. Crazy advantage. No other tank has this combination of view range and camo rating. Yeah, so that's another point, right? Just this alone, and even having like more options in the regular standard equipment department. You have more options here. You can do more things. Don't put a turbo on your ELC, it's not necessary, please. Again, forget about the mobility, okay? If you look at the new ELC, just don't even bother with the mobility, like at all. Like not even if you had a Bond turbo. What are you gonna drop? All of these things are just too good. It's too good. Unless you genuinely just want to try different things too, because that's fun to you, okay? But if we're just objectively speaking for what's good, optics, steps, and vents. Did the old ELC even get steps? Did it even have the option of mounting steps? I'm pretty sure it didn't. At least that's how I remember it. And lastly, at least for now lastly, this shit right here. Being able to ban maps. Forget about reusable rep kits or 8 kits, right? Being able to ban a map that you don't want to play on, like at minimum one map, is huge. Not having to force yourself through a fucking Ents grind or a fucking Himmelsdorf grind if you don't like Himmelsdorf is amazing. Look, you can ban your least favorite corridor map. It sounds like something arbitrary at first, but the option exists because it's not arbitrary. Maps are literally the be-all end-all for light tanks. Actually insane. Never used to be an option in the old days, and this is huge for the ELC. Actually huge. Because it just increases your chance of driving ace tankers in this vehicle. And I think that just about covers it. So what is my verdict? Again, let me put this straight, okay? I'm very unbiased in this regard. Why? At first you would think to yourself, okay, if the ELC Biss is my favorite tank, surely I would be biased, especially if I'm just constantly claiming that it's broken nowadays. But having played it for 2,400 battles in its current state, I know all the flaws about this tank, okay? I know how fucking shitty it can be, and I know how fucking strong it can be. And I fucking miss the old ELC. I miss having the challenge. I miss the more complicated gameplay. I miss the old matchmaking. I miss the 240, the old 90mm with 170 base pan and the gold and everything. I'm just like all those other people. I miss the old mobility. It was a fucking rocket, like right out of the gates, and when handbrake turn were just implemented, it was the most fun experience I've ever had in any video game ever, period. I'm still stuck in those fucking nostalgic fucking times like everyone else. I want fucking World of Tanks Classic back. I enjoyed the hell out of World of Tanks Classic, and the ELC wasn't even part of that back in the day, back in when that was a thing, when that was an event. I want a World of Tanks Classic with the ELC Biss. Yeah, I'm just like all of those other players, but I'm thinking objectively about it right now. And with all things considered, as fun as World of Tanks was back in the days, claiming that it was in a better state, quote unquote, it's just stupid, honestly. And I feel like people that don't even consider all of the arguments, or don't even consider all of the things that have changed, and just are stuck in those in that one time of the past where it used to be shit, right? How fucking blind can you be, honestly? Makes no sense to me. Like when I'm looking at everything, it makes no sense to me. It is so weird, honestly. But yeah, just my opinion though. Just my opinion. And I think that just about covers everything. So yeah. AMX ELC Biss, verdict. Old ELC definitely more fun. New ELC just stronger. Just stronger overall in the matter. And now to close off this video, again, I just want to let you guys know that while I sounded pretty harsh during some parts of this video, just keep in mind that it is not at all my intention to be mean-spirited. It is not at all my intention to force my opinion onto anyone. I don't want to shit on anyone either. I'm just doing all of this for fun. I'm playing the game for fun. I'm making these videos for fun. I just wanted to talk about my favorite my favorite tank in the game. Also, please don't execute me. What I mean with that is, I know that there are some elitists in this community, which is perfectly fine and understandable, but some people have like allergies against seeing the kind of setup that I'm running on my ELC that you can see in the video right now. Not the first time I will get fronted for this, not the last time I'm going to get fronted for this. What is my stance on stat padding? Personally, I don't consider myself a stat padder because I'm just playing the ELC for fun. I don't have the intention of stat padding. But other than that, while I understand that it's an issue, and seal clubbing in particular too, like playing completely overpowered and broken tanks in low to mid tier, I understand it's an issue for new beginners and it ruins the new player experience. But in all honesty, all of that criticism should be directed towards wargaming. It is not at all my responsibility as a player to watch out for new players per se, okay? Because I'm just a consumer and I'm consuming the product in a way to where it's fun to me, personally. Yeah, again, all of that criticism should always be sent towards wargaming because it's in their best interest to make the game beginner friendly and to make the new player experience just overall better, right? So yeah, please don't execute me for playing the ELC biz and for investing my earned resources into my fairy tank. But yeah, with all that being said, if you want to discuss this topic further with me, feel free to write a comment. I'm appreciative of everyone who wants to join the discussion. Anyway, see ya.